Welcome to London College of Communications Value Talks, a series dedicated to exploring race, power, gender, and of course, education. My name is Jarrett Bryan. I'm the host of YouTube cultural show, It's All Blakademik. And I'm very, very excited and very, I suppose, honoured is the word, because I know that it's very difficult to get the time of Premier League and other professional footballers' time on these platforms, to be joined by the guy they call Mr. Watford, the Watford captain, Mr. Troy Deeney. How are you doing, Troy?
I'm good, thank you, brother. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. I'm very, very well. So this will be going out to hundreds and thousands of students that'll be watching this. So I want to kind of just kick off by asking you, Troy, first of all, how important is and was education to you?
As it wasn't that big as a kid. In my community, we didn't have too many people that were successful through education and academics, so we didn't see that as a valuable route to even aspire to be anything. That's the honest answer. We had in my family only one of my cousins is a nurse. She's the only person that's gone to university in my whole family. So that just shows what where we was at. But now, obviously, through being, I don't know, financially stable is probably the best way to describe it, and not tied down by things. I've really just started to educate myself, understand, that I don't know everything, and that my small world and my small community is very small, it's very close-minded, and there's such a bigger place and a bigger world.
I hear that. And as I mentioned at the top there, it's been a very difficult year, I think, for everybody, period. It's been tough, man. But I don't know if you agree that I actually feel more sympathy for young people. I think it's the young people this year that have had it tough. And I tell you why, because when you think about the fact that, their social lives have been impacted hugely, raving, bowling, going out drinking, all the things that young people do, they've not been able to do for the past 3 or 4 months. And then when you kind of factor in, I don't know if you've been keeping across the recent scandal of the last week regarding colleges and universities, and the whole cock up the government has made in regards to, students not getting the results that they feel they should have been getting. I just feel the young people had a really, really raw deal, and it's going to be impacting their futures kind of going forward. How much sympathy do you have for young people, and in particular students, this year?
Yeah, you have to have sympathy with I'd say you said a cock up, but it's not the first cock up this government's made, is it? Let's be honest. So it kind of just becomes a normal thing with government, and it's a shame because they're setting people back probably a year to 2 years, depending on how their grades came and what they need to do. But also, it's what it does mentally. If you've been planning your hopes and aspirations on getting certain results and grades, and then you're not getting them by no fault of your own, that's got to be really tough mentally to take. But on the flip side, I'm the kind of person that has a lot of, when there's a bump in the road, like I want to go even stronger, even longer. Do you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people should take this time to reflect what happened, what was controllable, what wasn't controllable, self-assess, and go again and reevaluate and go, right, how can I be bigger, better, and stronger? That's the game. I do think that life is a game. At the end of the day, we all want to keep playing to the next level. So just do that. I think take any person that's listening to this, I think you should have an understanding that life sucks. There's some curveballs that get thrown in the way, but the real world is like that. So you have to learn to adapt and think on your feet. And we go again, and one little setback doesn't determine the rest of your life.
And one of the biggest frustrations, I think, for those students is that, I come from a similar background to yourself. And one of the big frustrations is that it's going to be the students that come from the low income families that are going to be disproportionately affected the worst. And the kind of rhetoric coming out is that this is another example of how the rich and the powerful stay rich and powerful, and the poorer have it harder to try and access those kind of levels. Do you have any kind of sentiments towards the kind of cultural element of how those young students are going to be disadvantaged as well?
Yeah, that's everywhere though. I do have a weird take on this, so stick with me. I'll go a little bit left.
Do it.
I don't I don't believe we are determined by where we grow up. I think that definitely affects the way we act, the way we feel, the way, we might be a bit like myself. I'm not very good with emotions. I'm not very good with them. I don't cry. I don't understand why people cry, like things like that. So that's from my upbringing. But I think there's so many cases now that we can see whether, and it's not just I think people look at athletes or musicians, I think that's the only way out, but that's the way the media would want to do that. I think what I've realized through social media a lot now is so many more people from underprivileged backgrounds that are going, now I want to be a doctor, now I want to be this, I want to be that. And we need to highlight that a bit more as a society anyway. But I just think, it is designed, the game is designed for the rich to get richer and the poor to be poor. But if that's the case and you've got to be happy and accept that, then we may as well just not argue or talk about it. You've got to push the boundary. You've got to push the envelope to make sure that people understand that, this was my settings. This is what I was about. My friends might do X, Y, Z, but I'm doing this. It's positive. It's hard work. And there's not many people doing it. So I'm going to be the exception. And then you create a snowball effect, because you only need 2 to 3 people to go, wow. For example, me and you might talk. I impact you with something I say. You then take that into your life, but you impact 3 to 4 people. That 3 to 4 does to 6 to 7, and before you know, it's a snowball effect, and you're impacting people. Excuse me, just off one conversation. So I think like when we live in a day and age where social media is so strong, I think we have to highlight and show and be visual that we have to show the hard work behind it. I think everyone always shows the glitz and glam, the nice pictures and the nice cars and all of that, but all of it comes from hard work. All of it. No one lands on their feet and just goes, oh, there you go, I just woke up today, I got a nice house, nice car, and the latest shoes. It's all about hard work and how you can understand that and keep evolving day by day.
And Stormzy announced this week that he's going to be giving 500 grand to fund a scholarship for disadvantaged students. What does it say, Troy, about the education system in this country that I guess rely on celebrities is probably not the right phrasing, but celebrities like Stormzy and others feel that they have to step in to help those students and give them an opportunity and a chance. I take your point about you can't just accept the fact that, I've come from a poor background, I'm always going to be poor, I can't win. You have to kind of fight that, and you have to kind of step out of that and not let it determine you. But how sad is it that we in a way do need people like Stormzy and other people like him to give their own money to help people that come from backgrounds like him and us?
Of course you do. It's giving back to the community. And at the end of the day, and I don't want to speak for Stormzy, I don't know him personally, but he's giving back because that's how he feels. But he's also very aware that the same community he's giving back to, he's also taking from, i.e. with the music that he makes and the content and people that listen to it. It's a give and take. What I've learned is that when you detach yourself from the community and you try and give back, it's not actually accepted. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of self-hate and a lot of I don't know the word, but basically, like if I'm looking at you, I'm not looking at you going, wow, you're successful, well done. I'm going, why him, not me? You get what I mean? So
totally, yeah.
I think all across the board, there's a responsibility to re-educate ourselves, and I think the word education is getting branded around a lot lately, especially in the topic of of race. I think education comes also from not just from a classroom, not just from a book, but from real life. Are you online talking about Black Lives Matter, but out in public, disrespecting Black, Asian, anyone of any ethnicity, but online you're talking about we're all one people? Do you get what I mean? Like we can't just be posting because it's cool to post. We can't just be talking about it now because it's cool to talk about it. Like be conscious of what you're doing and try and impact on a bigger scale. But I do think that the education needs to be looked at. I think the same way the NHS needs to be looked at. Again, that's a bigger and longer conversation, but we seem to be, anyone that's going into government seems to say they're going to put money into the NHS and into schooling. But that's since I've been alive. I'm 32. So you're always talking about money going in, money going in, money going in. I personally know the taxes keep coming out because they keep taking it monthly. So where is all that money being distributed? That's where I'd like to see. And if the money is being distributed to certain areas and areas that are, you know, more affluent, shall we say, you need to go, okay, well, where are we seeing, like any business? So if I say, for argument's sake, simple way to put it, I give you £100. I want to see what that £100 you've done with that £100. If you're not doing something with that £100, you ask me again, I'm not going to give you £100. That's what I think needs to happen with, you know, with the schooling. But why do we keep pumping money into the schooling, but we're not seeing anything from it? We need to then start going, right, we need to start identifying and say to schools, you need to hit certain criteria, make them criteria more tough. And also, like, again, that's an expectation not only on the schools, but that's also expectations on the people. If you don't want to do school and school's not for you, then don't take it, because you're missing up an opportunity for somebody else. Do you get what I mean? Like, I think we live in a day and age and a time now where we all want what's free, but if something's free, it's not earned, so it's not respected. Do you get what I mean?
No, I hear you.
People might listen to this and sound like I ain't got a clue what I'm talking about. It's just I'm
No,
old, so.
I hear it. I definitely hear it, Troy. And something people may not know about you is that you're a qualified builder. Have I got that right? You was a builder before you got into, okay. Do you think the labour market and having that sort of trade is an area we don't encourage students to go into enough?
All of it, though. It's not just that. I think we glamorize things so much that it's a joke. That it actually, if you're a young person now, you only want a 100k a year job. Like, you don't think the 50k a year job's good. Do you get what I mean? It's always like, so
50k is good money, man. That's good money.
But what I'm saying is, if you live, because a lot of these kids, you got to remember, live on social media. It's what they see. Everything is about what you see, perceptionally what you see. So you can control the narrative, but it's a perception. But the actual reality of it is, a lot of these people, these so-called influencers, aren't getting money like you think they are. They stick around for a year to 2 years, and then they're done, and there's another one. There's another wave. Excuse me. So I have this comparison all the time. If you was a young kid now that wanted to be a boxer, let's say, everyone goes, you have to be as big and as high profile as Anthony Joshua. But is he the only boxer ever? Is he the only boxer that's about now? There's loads of boxers earning very good money, but just not to the level that he's making it, with the celebrity that he's making it. But they're still comfortable. Their families are comfortable. Do you get what I mean? It's always about, like, you want to be a footballer now. Oh, you got to be Mbappe. You got to be Neymar. You got to be the best. But who do they play against then? If they're the best, are they just playing against the best? So, you know, I think we need to start glamorizing. I hate the word normal, but the normal job. The man that works, you know, he's gone to uni. He's a doctor. He's a local GP, and he's earning 60k a year. But he's got to earn that 60k a year for 40 or 50 years. He's making cake. Do you get what I mean? But they don't. It's not highlighted as that.
No.
Because you're not wearing the Rolex, you're not wearing the Louvre, you're not giving it 10 libertine on whatever night you want to do it on. Do you get what I mean? So
I do.
It's like we highlight and glamorize the people that are doing really, really well, but we forget there's a big gap between really well and bottom of it. There's a big gap that needs to be filled, and we all feel that in whichever way we want. And also, you don't have to be absolutely. Some people are minimalists. So if you only want something little, and let's say you want an apartment, and 30k a year is enough for you, who's to say that that's not enough? Nobody. So, you know, we have to stop putting this mindset of that. You know, let's care what the other person is.
I hear it. It's well documented. You've spoken many times publicly about the fact that you went into prison for a short period. Yeah. I'm always interested to know about, and I've got friends that have gone to prison, and I'm interested to know because if you've gone to prison, something's obviously gone wrong in your life and you've hit a certain level where you need help, I imagine. And I'm wanting to know what happens with the pipeline out of prison into education. And did you, I don't know how long you was inside for, but did you, when you was inside, was there any kind of talking to you about, okay, cool, we're going to set you up with a course, or we're going to get you back into college or get into university? What do you think about the pipeline from prison to people, to young boys in particular, black boys, many of whom make the news, and getting them back into a system whereby they can rehabilitate their life through education?
I think like all of it, like all of this is like, it comes back to the same thing. Education is not spoken about. So is there courses available in jail? Of course there is. How much are you made aware of them is completely different. Do you know what I mean? So people are very much made aware of, like, we all know there's libraries. How many people do you know that actually get up and go to a library? How many people know where their local library is? So it's all about, like, do people actually know the information is available? Do people know there's all these grants and there's all these different things that are available to the community, but we've never been spoken about it? Do you get what I mean? Like, it's the information that we actually we lose touch with. You know, I was inside for 3 months, so it wasn't the longest of times, but it was long enough for me to realise that ain't where I need to be. I'm too smart for that. I'm actually a bit of a loser that I'm in here. Do you know what I mean? That's how it made me feel. So you do have to educate, and you'll find a lot of people will turn to religion, read more books when they're inside, because you have time. I think that's what COVID has also done for me as well. It kind of took me back to that place when I'm going, well, I've got a period of time here now. That to be the best version of me. So I think a lot of it comes to the information. What information are we being told? And we live in a day and age now where you don't actually know who and what to believe anymore. Do you know what I mean? So it's very different, and I do feel very what's the word, skeptical for the youngsters of today, because depending on who you follow on Instagram, you don't know what's true, what's not true. Like, everything's fake news. What's real? It's everything can be manipulated. You know, it's difficult.
It is. And you're the captain of Watford Football Club, so I'm going to assume that you kind of have quite a breast of what's happening within the club. And I guess the same kind of question as the last one. What do you make of the pipeline between football clubs and education? So I think I read a stat about a year ago that only 1 in 94 boys will get a professional contract. It's so rare for a person to get a deal. The other 93 boys, some of those guys may have careers and jobs and may be fine. But do you see enough being done from those boys that fall out of the football system into education, or even parallel, so that when you're 5, 6, 7, 8 plus, you're being told in one year you're going to be the next big thing, but education and studying concurrently runs alongside that in the event that you don't make it?
Yeah, I think we miss a trick with how the Americans do it in regards to that. In American sport, a lot of it is schoolwork has to match up for you to play whatever sport you want to do. I do think we miss a trick with that. What happens especially in the UK is it's frowned upon to think of anything other than football. It's like, you, from the age of 5 or whatever it is, football. That's all you got to think about. All you got to think about is being the best player, because all the rest of it will come. So then when people get to like 16 and they get like a contract, it's like a youth team contract, they think they've made it because it's all been drilled in before. You've got to get this contract. They get the contract and they're like, I made it. But that's actually where the journey starts, because you're transitioning from kids football to adult football. And I think it's a double-edged sword, because a lot of kids think they've made it. So then there will be times where people go, you need to look at certain avenues. And I would say the PFA is very good for that. They have a multitude of courses, and they try and facilitate as well, at least half of the money. So if a course costs you £1,000, they'll pay 500 and vice versa. And it is all there available for anybody that's ever been a member of the PFA. So if you got out of it. But there is this, again, social media bubble that these younger people live in now, when they go, well, I'm doing this contract, but I know when I play, I'm going to be earning that much, so who cares about football? It's like, can I post a picture on Instagram now saying I'm a professional footballer, more than actually having a 5, 10, 15-year career of actually being a footballer? So it's a tough one. It's a difficult generation to grow up in, and I'm very thankful at times that I don't grow up in this generation, because it's very misleading.
It's tough. It's tough. And you did something really amazing, Troy, that many people I don't think will be aware of. You, alongside Leicester City's Wes Morgan, was behind the initiative to get Black Lives Matter on the backs of football shirts when Project Restart kicked in.
Yeah.
And also the badge that I believe your partner, your wife, sorry, is your partner or your wife? The missus designed, I believe. Why did you think it was important to, I don't know if I'm assuming you approached the Premier League with that idea. Why did you think that was something so important to do?
I don't think you can watch the George Floyd situation for the whole entirety of that video and not feel that you have a social responsibility to do anything. That's point blank. That's it. When it comes to that, me and Wes obviously was in a Premier League discussion that unfortunately wasn't going the way we anticipated it should, or thought it should have gone. So we came up with the idea, with the help of all the other captains. We all managed to put things together and get it over the line, and thankfully the Premier League was quite receptive to that. In regards to the badge, that was my partner. She's a graphic designer, and she's very dope with what she does. So as you can see, it came out really well. But it's how long does that conversation continue? That's the bigger issue. So again, kind of going back to what I said earlier, it's not a case of posting a picture on Instagram and I've done my part. It's we got that conversation in. Now, what initiatives have we started with the Premier League, with the FA? How is that helping with diversity and inclusion? And also for myself personally, it's like, well, what are you about? What do you stand for now? You're going to say, oh, look, I did that. In 10 years' time, I'm going to say, I did that. So that's my little pat on the back. Well done, Troy. Nah, I don't think, I'm not that kind of person. I need more. I need plans of action, and then obviously to make it work and to see it through. Because there's people that have been trying to get this argument for a very long time. I know Ian Wright, obviously, personally, he's been pushing a lot. You've got people like Garth Brooks and people like that have been trying for years in sport, but it's not just a sport issue. And that's the thing that's really frustrating me, when people are like looking at it like it's just sport, and look at the sport fairs, and I think it's very easy for the Premier League to and the players to take a knee at this moment. No fans in the stadium and stuff like that. It's very easy to do that. I'd be interested to see who does it when the fans are back. What the clubs will do if a section of fans were booing or making racist gestures at that point. Do you get what I mean? That's when the real truth of what all of this has been about will come to a head, I think.
So a couple of things I want to just pick up on there. The first thing, do you feel like if you have a high profile in particular, be it a sportsman, a musician, whatever it may be, if you are not using your platform to speak out against social issues, do you believe that you are failing? Do you believe that it's unacceptable now to be of the profile of someone like yourself and not be speaking about those issues? And secondly, if you're not kneeling in whatever sport it is that a bit of a slap in the face for the movement of equality?
No, because you know what that is? I don't want a token gesture. So I don't want you to post, I don't want you to take a knee, I don't want you to be, I'm on board, if you're not on board. The way this conversation moves forward and the way all of this will start to come to a head is when we have honest, uncomfortable conversations. So don't do the knee because everybody else is doing it. Don't post a black square because everybody else is doing it. Like, just look on your social media feed now. Everything's died down. 3, 4, 5 weeks ago, there was black squares everywhere. Do you get what I'm saying? That's an expectation, not just only on white people, but on the BAME community as well. We've got to start pushing the question we've got to be doing interviews. Again, if you care, let me be that way. And I don't mean this in a nasty way, because some people would not have felt it as personally, like, you know, police brutality. They might have grown up in an area where that wasn't part of their life. I don't expect you to understand that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to understand it, you speak to people, right? You know, in my case, that's happened to me on numerous occasions. We can talk about it because we've been through it. That doesn't mean I'm an expert in it. Do you get what I mean? I don't want to be an expert in that. I want to be able to understand and talk to people and move the conversation forward. But we have this thing where I'm starting to see a little bit of things now where it's like, if you're mixed race, you can't talk about Black Lives Matter. And it's like, what are we just? What's going on? It's all sorts of things, and that's what happens when it gets commercialized and it becomes in the paper all the time. It becomes a topic of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
People will try and discredit every other thing, and you know, I'm really for the cause, and I'm blacker than you, or I'm whiter than you. It's like, well, if we're all going in one direction, does it matter?
Mm.
But everyone's searching for that bit of what I've done for the cause. Do you get what I mean? It's all
like totally, I get it.
My adding to it, but if we're all adding to it in our own little way, it will only end up being positive for the world as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually have to have a diversity and equality role for someone to make sure that we're doing that. Because if we're trying to have a diverse and equality then why are we hiring someone to check that we're ticking all the right boxes?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it. It seems counterproductive for me. So that's their kind of conversations you have, and you're trying to change. But again, it's systematic. This has been going on for years. It's not just happened in 2020. This has been going on for hundreds of years. So we can't expect to change things in straight away, like the full everyone wake up tomorrow, no one's racist, no one's homophobic, no one's is given any kind of discrimination to anybody else. It's all like, we have to do small steps and impact where we can. That's my opinion.
Just on social media, Troy, I mean, last year you were a very visible supporter of the, I think it was called the Blackout, where everybody came off Twitter for a day. As a black man working in sports media, hands up, I didn't support that campaign. I didn't back that campaign. But did you? Sorry.
Why though?
So I didn't back that campaign because I didn't think that 24 hours of Twitter, and this kind of goes to my question, was going to jolt Twitter enough to take action about racism and abuse online. But my question is, I don't know the result of what that 24 hours did. So I want to ask you, because I don't know, what was the result of that 24 hours? Did you hear back from Twitter? Did it hurt them? Did they take it seriously? Was it 24 hours that they kind of thought, whoa, like, we need to kind of like fix up about how we police our platform? Because for me, a week, a month makes an impact. A day, for me, I didn't see making an impact, but I could be wrong.
Here's where I'm gonna get you with this, right? I don't mean to get you, brother.
No, get me. Let's do it.
You didn't support for a day, so how can we get you to support for a week or a month?
Because a week or a month, I see Twitter taking that more seriously. I see them making changes.
What I'm saying is, you didn't take the day seriously. You as a black man didn't help us with the day. Yeah. So you got to understand, when we're trying to get everyone to do it, 24 hours was just enough to give us, this is a feeler for it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So we're trying to get not only footballers and musicians, but influencers who genuinely, their income is off that. If we're going to do movements and things of that nature, for example, I said to you, we're going to do it for a month, and something happens that you want to check out online. You've heard about it, but you want to check out online. How hard is it for you to not go back on there? Because everyone's talking about it. What I'm saying? Like, for me, we're older. I'm saying, if you're a 20-year-old.
Yeah. I hear it.
So we're trying to do little things that will just show, look, we can all come together and shock if we don't start seeing plans of action for change. Now, Twitter and Facebook haven't been as proactive, or Instagram, have not been proactive as we would have liked. But they're certainly getting a lot more pressure now, because high-profile clubs, Premier League, FA, they're only things I know about personally are pushing. Like, it's not acceptable for this kind of thing to be going on your platform. But I then turn around and go, well, the bigger thing is they don't want that to come off. Bart's conversation, like, I don't really want to get too deep into it, but you look at the Wiley situation, for example. But Katie Hopkins has been on there for years, chatting the most about everything until a month ago, to take her off social media. Do you get what I mean? Like, it's not. Don't understand how we could sit and try and justify that it's acceptable. But I would also say, if you're going to make remarks about another race or another sex community, you have to be prepared for consequences, and that should be the same for whites, blacks, Asian, Chinese. Doesn't matter. Like, that's how it's got to be. So we're all very aware that the things need to change, but I think we're getting into a very grey area at the minute where people are so scared to not be seen to act on things that we're going to become ultra sensitive. Do you get what I mean? And come away from the actual point and the actual day-to-day living, that how it affects people from lower income housing that are not predominantly from black and Asian areas.
I want to talk to you about leadership, Troy. You're someone that is often referred to as a leader. Troy Deeney, yeah, he's a leader. Arsenal needs my team is Arsenal, by the way. Arsenal could do someone like Troy, a bit of leadership in the dressing room. And I always find it interesting when I hear sports voices talking about people in leadership. And it always seems to be linked with people, first of all, who are tall and big and loud. And I just think to myself, okay, if you're the loudest and you beat your chest and you're strong and you're big, that means you're a leader, which may be the case. But I'm interested to know from you, what you think about people who talk about you as a leader, and how you think, I suppose, kind of going broader beyond football and sport, how leadership is viewed in this country.
Yeah, I think I hear what you're saying. I think that is normally how people perceive it, but I think the leadership is more away from especially in football, away from the actual 90 minutes that you'll hear people screaming and shouting and go, oh, that's why he's captain. But I think it's more of he's not late for work. He puts it in every day. These are all transferable skills to normal life jobs. So, that person who works more, that person who wants it, but also can then see that, somebody's not quite getting it, for example, and, go put an arm around them, or somebody that does get it, but is just not trying hard enough. Hey, come on, do a bit more. So leadership can be loads of different things. My leadership style is more of a let me be the one that you can never say that Troy hasn't worked hard enough. Do you get what I mean? You might say I'm not good at football. You might say I'm, that's all opinionated and objective, obviously, to whoever you're talking to. But I work hard. I genuinely care about the people I'm working with, and I just try and help people on a day-to-day. And as you say, like, go and help the younger people. Like, this might not end up working for you, but have you thought about coaching? Have you thought about what happens if this doesn't work? All of these different things where you're just trying to help people to understand that the world's a lot bigger than a football club.
Do you see young leaders out there now? I'm talking generally, in and out of football.
Yeah, you do. It's a different way, though, that the world's changing. I don't think you have to, like Raheem Sterling, Stormzy, these are all younger than me. They definitely have the profile and the platforms to start to show people that, look, this is what you can do. And I think, for example, Stormzy just had given $500,000 away in scholarships. He is now creating a snowball effect, because if you were 18, 19 and you just got that, he's the man, he's a legend. But now you feel a bit of a responsibility if you then go on to have continued success, that you have to now help somebody else. You would like to think that if you're taking that on, then right, somebody's just helped me out. Now I've gone on to be continued successful, so now I'm going to help 2 or 3 other people out.
Yeah.
And that's the snowball effect. But we have to do that. And I think leadership now is more with action more than words. Very easy for words with social media and things like that. It's very easy to talk and to look the part and sound the part. It's actually, where's the proof in the pudding? Where's the substance? That's what people are going to start to call out on now.
I'm conscious of time, Troy, so I'm going to rattle through just 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, no problem.
And I'll let you go.
I'm
Leadership
about to go back to work, so you're helping me out, don't worry.
Okay. Within football, I mentioned yourself and Wes Morgan were behind the campaign to get Black Lives Matter visible within the Premier League. How dispiriting is it for you as someone within the game to not see any real black leaders and figures or other black leaders in the kind of high echelons that run the game? So we can talk about yourself and your Sterlings and your Rashfords that are doing phenomenal things on and off the pitch. But within the FA, within the people that run this game, managers, owners, how do we get to a point where we have more representation in the areas of decision makers?
Again, it's twofold, and I'm going to sound like I keep saying the same thing, but just talking to me personally. If I decide I want to be a manager, director of football, work for the FA, work for the Premier League, whatever it might be, I know the game's not fair, and we've already spoke about it. The game isn't fair. So if me and John Doe were going into the job interview the same way, he's white, I'm mixed race, we've both got exactly the same qualifications, he's going to get it. We already know that, right? That's just the way the world goes. Well, then don't win on the same playfield. I've got to make myself better. That's how I look at it. I have to be better than whoever's going for the job, to the point where if I don't get the job or someone lesser than me got it, I can call out the racism on it. Do you get what I'm saying? But we come in on a level and we go, I don't know, it's 50-50, well, he's got to get the job, and then complain about it. But we already know, we've already said it from how it's happened at the start, from the way that the world's been spinning. We know that for people of colour, it's harder than if you're white. We already know that. It's just a given. So why are we now trying to level the other part? We're already behind here. Then we get to here and we know we have to work harder. We know it's already given. Do more. Do you get what I'm saying? And then when people are in that role, there is a responsibility now, not only to get in that role and stay in that role, which is tough enough, but to explain and show to people this is the ladders in which, these are the steps on the ladder which I got to get to this position. Again, a lot of it is down to information. Can I be a director of football? Of course I can. But how do I get there? I'm not quite sure. I'm going to have to figure it out, because I don't see a lot of that. I see Les Ferdinand, and that's about it, really. But me now to reach out to Les and to speak to him and say, how do I go about this? What do you think? But also at the same time, it's on me to be better, understand, educate myself. All right, I have all the grades and qualifications that they need for this, but I also have the football experience. So now I should be better than whoever is coming in for the job.
I hear it.
With what Raheem was saying in regards to Ashley Cole and Sol Campbell not getting the same jobs as Gerrard and Lampard. Because again, the only argument basis that is they was on the same course. All right, but we don't know what they've done away from it. Are they doing more? Are they still keeping in contact with the clubs that they was at? Do you get what I mean? Like Gerrard, Liverpool, Lampard went back to Chelsea, give himself a higher place to because when they fell to Rangers and to Derby, respectively, they were coming from places of higher. Whereas Campbell and Ashley Cole were not at clubs; they were looking for something. Do you get what I mean? So an element of playing the game, because we understand that again it's forged to not make us win, but also then it's right, have we done everything physically possible to make us the best version of ourselves? And if we have done that, that's when we can call out the racism. Until that moment, we have to keep chipping away, get people to listen and see our views, which I think people are starting to do now, because I've never really saw a movement like this socially. Maybe you're a little bit older than me, so maybe you could tell me different, but I don't think I have.
I was going to ask you, my next question was going to be, off the back of Black Lives Matter, do you believe that it will be looked back on as a moment in time, or do you think we're genuinely on a movement for social and equality, social change and equality? Because on some senses, I feel like I am seeing some changes, some genuine changes, whereby the lives of Black people, I believe, I have hope. But then on the other side, I feel like we're actually more divided more than ever. And I think the US election is going to be very, very interesting to see how that comes. Because if Trump wins again, that may make me lose the little bit of hope that I had. I know that's America, but I just wonder if you feel like we genuinely know in 5 years' time, we'll look back and be like, that was a spark of what's better. It's not perfect, but it's better. Or if you actually feel like we are more divided more than ever.
The hopeful side of me would have to say, I do feel like it's a moment in time. New generation of educated and, I think the word they say is woke individuals that understand that things are not, not as black and white as they used to be. So I think the hopeful side of me is understanding that. I think when you look at a lot of the marches and a lot of the rallies that was going on, the most pleasing thing to me that it was not just black or Asians, it was everyone, white, black, Asian, it didn't matter. Everyone was there going, this is not right. So you have to do that. But again, I don't look out at other communities, or as you said, if Trump wins, then that suggests this. We've got to, in our community now, we strive to be for ourselves, and then go, like, once we've took ourselves past that level, then we can really impact change. So, we talk about, I see a lot of talk now about generational wealth and things of that nature, but ownership again is very key. And how to own what you are and what you're about. And that's not just about, because I think when people hear ownership, they go, you have to own a house, or you have to own a car, own a bit of land. Ownership of everything that you are and what you're about doesn't mean you're right, but just own. Stop trying to make somebody else's opinion be that relevant that you try and be who they want you to be. That'd be what. Yeah.
I'm going to wrap, but I heard you previously in an interview talk about having half an eye on after football, and the phrase you used was you have a higher calling, and then you referenced things like the issues of knife crime and mental health. Do you have that was about a year ago? Do you have a better idea in your head now of the sort of thing you want to do post football? You don't. Okay.
Do you know why I say higher calling? Because when I do, and I probably will do one, and I explain to people the live traumas, what I've been through. I call them traumas because I'm happy to work through them now with a psychologist to untangle the web. But the life traumas I've been through that haven't been spoken about, because obviously everyone knows, he went to jail and this, that, and the other. But all the life traumas I've been through, and I think there'll be so many people in the community that can go, yeah, I identify with that. I identify with that. Will definitely be able to spark a conversation, which I think will have changed. But if I've been through all of that and still been, as you said, captain of a Premier League team, scored loads of goals, been able to work with charity. I've even been called into number 10 to be on advisory groups. Now I'm from Birmingham. I'm from a small little town. How can you tell someone up above isn't guiding me? Do you get what I mean? Like, it's not supposed to happen. There's no pathway. I've blindly taken a lot of mistakes along the way, and I've still ended up here. So now that I'm conscious, I'm educated, I'm thoughtful with what I'm trying to do. Don't get me wrong, there's still a little bit of crazy in there, but I'm still trying. Let me figure out how I can have a real impacted change. You can't tell me that I'm not going to be successful with it when I'm actually thinking about it. So that's why I'm no closer to where I want to be, but there's more open. Do you get what I mean? Where before it was mental health or knife crime, because that's mental health is me, knife crime's the area I've come. But now it's like, how do I teach? Can I teach people about being financially free? Can I teach people about health and wealth, and not always taking medicines? Do you get what I mean? There's all different things we can speak about, and we've all spoke about to death. But how do we transmit that to for generations to come? That's kind of where I'm at now. And I say I'm 32. To some of the people that'll be watching this, I'm an old man, but I'm certainly figuring out. Okay, let me try and impact change that hopefully my kids and hopefully their kids can all carry on the message. And before you know it, we have some real substance and some real change. But I'm certainly not going to sit here and say I've got it all figured out, because I've been lying to them, and that's not what I'm going to do.
And final question, just bringing it back to the young people that'll be watching this. If the Troy Deeney now could give advice to Troy Deeney of 18, 19 years old in the current climate that we're in, politically, culturally, socially, financially, what would that one bit of advice be?
Good question. I don't think there's one bit. There's too many bits for me.
You can name more than one if you want.
No, like, I just think, because you see, for me, I've always been on I'll always get there. So hard work's never been something I'm afraid of. Do you get what I mean? So it's like, but what I would say to any youngster now, and again, I think you gotta figure out what's best for you. Figure out what makes you happy. Before you know it, you actually forget who and what you are. What I would have said to myself now, actually, now I'm just saying this, I don't actually know who I am. I'm 18 years old, 19 years old. Do you actually know who you are at that point? Mm-hmm. You actually not, because the school system's told you about how you should act and what you should do. Your parents have told you what they think you should act and what they think. You don't actually know who you are. So travel, make mistakes. Every moment is a teachable moment. That's how I always look at it. Every moment is a teachable moment. So yeah, I'd probably say to myself from 18, like I had my son at 20. So I'd say to myself, relax. Don't need to do all of that just yet. Like, figure it out. So then you have a better foundation, a better understanding that when financially you're in a position to help yourself, things change and you can actually have foundations to go, this is what I'm about, this is what I believe in, and move on from there. Some people might get it, some people might think I'm talking nonsense, so I apologize if I've wasted an hour of your time.
Not at all. Listen, so many gems in there, Troy. I've really enjoyed speaking to you, and I've gained a lot from that. I've watched some of your interviews, and I'm not a Watford fan, but I've watched Troy Deeney over the last 5 to 10 years, and I've really seen the growth without sounding patronising. Do you know what I mean? So I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your time. If you enjoyed this talk, then check out the rest of the series where LCC have invited guests to discuss, challenge and develop ideas around today's values. Thank you very much to Troy Deeney, and thank you for watching. Thank you very much. Take care.